I'll record on this computer. Okay. Welcome, everybody. My name is Elizabeth Jenkins. I'm a volunteer. I have been doing voter support for a little bit, and this is not an official presentation. This is a presentation that I put together. I did base it on something by Heidi Birch, which I linked in here. So today I'm going to be talking about your backup ballot, but don't worry, I'll explain what I mean by that and everything. I am recording. Okay, good. So the presentation that I'm giving to you right now is on Google Drive, and so you can scan this. Whoops, you can scan this code or find it at this bit.ly link. And I'm also going to be putting it on YouTube. So if you just want to look at the slides though later on, this is where they will be. And if I were more clever, I would put it in the chat box, but I'm not clever. Okay, so this is not a basic training about how you vote from abroad. This is focused just on the backup ballot, which gets a little bit tricky. For a general introduction to voting from abroad, I'll address it in this presentation, but you'll find a little bit more in depth on a previous presentation. You can see it on YouTube, or you can look at just the slides. So if you get this presentation in front of you, you can click these things and they're linked up. So, yeah, my name's Elizabeth, and I reside in Beijing, but I am currently in Michigan and will probably be here for the election. I vote in Michigan, and I help folks in China vote from abroad, and this is my certificate of training, so you know that I'm not completely foolish. So here's my agenda. I've got just a little bit of time to go over this overview of voting from abroad. Then we'll talk about what the backup ballot is and why you could use it. Then we're going to spend a good chunk of our time just looking at the form, how you actually fill out your backup ballot, and then we'll spend a little time talking about the process of mailing it back. So if anybody wants to interrupt me, feel free if you have questions, but if you can hold them till the end, I'm happy to. So a lot of people are gonna, I mean, there's always what if, but you know, feel free to interrupt me, because this is about making sure everybody that's attending here feels comfortable doing this. Okay, so the main thing that you should know is, to start out, is that there is a thing called the Federal Voting Assistance Program. It's a it's a government program that exists to support overseas voters, both military and civilian. And they have all this information on their website that I'm going to present to you. They have official forms, including the FPCA, which is your ballot request, and printable envelope templates. They have a free email to fax service for those folks that need to fax materials back. They have that voter assistance officer training online if you want to take that and teach and organize other folks. You can, and they also do a great job of collecting statistics on overseas voting, so you can see kind of how this is, see how people are participating. Some really stunning statistics for China have been about only half the people that request the ballot have actually end up turning in their ballot and actually end up voting. So that's a pretty low percentage. That's from 2016. And hopefully we're going to increase that both the raw numbers and the percentage. So you have special protections as an overseas voter. You have a special overseas absentee ballot, and it is, and your right to vote in federal elections is protected. A lot of states will let you vote in state and local elections as well, but not all. When you vote as an overseas voter, you're supposed to get your ballot 45 days before the election. That would be September 19 for our November election coming up. And sorry, go ahead. No? If you're not, can you go on mute if you're not talking? That's cool. Okay. And it also entitles you to this backup ballot process. The backup ballot has this silly name called a FWAB, which is a federal write-in absentee ballot. But so these are special things just for overseas voters. You get to get your ballot electronically if you request it to be sent to you electronically. Every state is supposed to be able to do that. However, not every state will allow you to return your ballot by email. Here's the overall process. You have to request your ballot, you receive your ballot, and you return your ballot. And this is all your interactions here are with your local elections official. This is the main website that I use, votefromabroad.org. It's a nonpartisan website, and if you click the start button here, it'll start your ballot request. And for most states, you'll be able to stay on the website the entire time, and it will process and send it onto your local elections official. And if not, it's got other instructions for you. So just a thing that I hope you all have completed your ballot request. Your ballot request is your federal postcard application, your FPCA. And this is an application that's just for overseas voters, and it grants you your status as an overseas voter. So that's if you can of course probably contact your local elections official and ask for an absentee ballot, but letting them know you're overseas means that they have to treat you a little bit more. You have certain protections, so they have to be able to email your ballot to you, which is not something they necessarily do for domestic absentee ballots. I'm in Michigan, and my mom and dad get their
okay.
Oh, I hear somebody else's voice. Can you go on mute, please? Oh, I see somebody had a chat. What's going on in the chat? I'm muting people. If you want to talk, please do. You can take yourself off mute, or you can star hand up in the chat box or any of those things. Okay, I can't see the chat window for some reason. Oh wait, there it is. Oh, I saw it for a second. No, it's gone. Okay, chat. Alt-H. Alt-H is the thing. Thank you, Kim, for putting that URL, the bit.ly URL in there. Again, that bit.ly URL is this presentation, so it's on Google Drive. Okay, so the FPCA is the stupid name for the ballot request form. It can register you to vote if you're not registered, and it can also, but it mainly acts as your request for absentee ballots. And hopefully you've completed that. And if you haven't, you can go to votefromabroad.org and do that right away. Somebody's chatting in. Alt-H, Alt-H. What is the deadline for this? Good question, Amy. So the deadline for requesting your ballot is different for every state. So the FVAP, the Federal Voting Assistance Program, had suggested that every overseas voter request their ballot by August 1st, or August, yeah, something. Anyway, something that's already passed. But there's no deadline for any states that has happened already. The first deadline that does happen. Oh, what did I do with that? Paper. The first deadline that occurs for requesting ballots is actually Puerto Rico for September 20. So, but each state is different, and here's the magic. Haha! Yes, thank you, Kimberly. The magic URL there: votefromabroad.org/states, and then your two-character abbreviation, state abbreviation, gives you a summary of what the deadlines are for your state and the rules. So that is very valuable, and that's usually where I go when anyone asks me, what about my state? So, okay, so I guess I feel strongly about this. That's why I'm trying to volunteer and help people get their votes back. It's really so many extraordinary circumstances at the moment, and we need to do everything we can to make sure your vote gets back home and can count. The voice is heard, man. Okay, so the federal write-in absentee ballot, the FWAB, the backup ballot, is for overseas voters in uncertain circumstances. And man, that is us, right? We are in uncertain circumstances, not only due to COVID-19, but for so many reasons. But main thing is that delivery times for postal mail and courier express mail are slowed, and ballots need to get to all voters 45 days before the election, which is September 19. But that may not be 45 days before the election, may not be enough time for you to put your ballot into an envelope and physically get it to your local elections official in the US. So that's why we want to use the backup ballot. So in response to all this craziness, there have been changes to the rules, which is kind of cool. There are some states that have not allowed voters to return their ballots by email, but because of these extraordinary circumstances, are accepting ballots by email. So if you want to keep an eye on changing rules, and you should look for your state at this votefromabroad.org/states to see what the latest is, because these things have changed within the last couple of weeks. And this website is well maintained, well loved, and you'll find the information you want there. So currently, as of me making this presentation, these are the states that require ballots to be returned by mail. And so therefore, these are the states that we're recommending folks use the backup ballot right away. So if you've requested your ballot, you want to go through the normal process of requesting your ballot and receiving your ballot by email. Your official ballot is how I want to distinguish these things. Your official ballot by email within 45 days before the election. Some states have already begun emailing out absentee ballots. There have been from, oh goodness, it's Pennsylvania, Georgia, I think, North Carolina, something like this. So there are a few states that have already started sending ballots out to people. So if you are, if your state is on this list, I recommend you do your backup ballot. Yeah, because we don't know if you will have enough time to return your official ballot. So don't worry, be happy. Your backup vote is there to ensure your vote is counted, okay? So that's what it's for, you know? Even if you receive your official ballot and you're able to return it to the US and meet the deadline, that's great. So there's no penalty if both of those things arrive at the local elections official. This is, like I said, a special protection for overseas voters. So yes, there's no disadvantage to doing this. So do it. If there's any chance that your official ballot might not make it back in time, it's worth taking the extra process of filling out a FWAB, your backup ballot. And there are some things you have to be careful about, though. So when you have when you do fill out your backup ballot, there are basically 2 pages. One page looks a lot like your ballot request form, and the other page is your ballot. It's going to be who you're voting for. So the page that looks a lot like your ballot request has to match everything that you turned in previously on your ballot request. So you want to make sure that those things match. So if you change your overseas address, you have the possibility of them rejecting your backup ballot. All these things, you want to pull up your ballot request form. You probably have that in your email, and have that beside you when you're filling out your backup ballot, because you really want to make sure those things match. So, and the other thing to keep in mind is this is your backup ballot, but it is a ballot, and so it needs to follow all the rules of your state's requirements for ballot return. And so there's nothing magic about this that makes you that nullifies any of your state's requirements. You still have to do all that stuff. Even you have to treat it the same way you would an official ballot. So where do you get the FWAB? Okay, you on the federal Voter Assistance Program website, FWAP.gov. They have a little highlight thing at the bottom that says if you've already requested. So anyway, there's a click through here to the FWAB. So filling out the FWAB, maybe I should pause here. Are there questions about why, how, or anything about the FWAB, the federal write-in absentee ballot? Laura asks, can I send my voter registration and absentee ballot request on the same day that I sent my FWAB? Yes, so you'll have to look closely or follow the instructions as you're filling out all this stuff, but it is possible to simultaneously send your voter registration and absentee ballot request, which is the FPCA, that form, with your FWAB, all at the same time to your local elections official. That is, if you haven't already filled out your ballot request and you're a voter in one of those states, that seems like a good idea to me to go ahead and do that. However, you may find that you can submit your voter registration and absentee ballot request, your FPCA, by email. In Michigan, as a Michigan voter, I can request my ballot and submit that form by email, and they email me back my ballot, but then I have to send my ballot back by mail. And so in which case I wouldn't do them together. I would do my ballot request online, and I would send in my FWAB right away. So I hope that makes sense. Oh, and New York has these fabulous special rules where they want you to email in. You can email things in. You can email in your ballot request, but you have to mail it in as well. New York this time has said they are going to turn. They're not going to enforce strictly the need to have the paper also turned in, but that's not. You should check You should check online because I think New York City is a little bit different. But in any case, New York's normal rules are that you have to send your ballot request in by email is okay, but you also have to mail in a hard copy with a wet signature. And ballots need to be returned. They can be emailed in, but they also need a wet signature, I believe. But again, you can find that information for New York at votefromabroad.org/states/NY. Okay, I'm going to move on to the actual form. Unlike the ballot request, which is on the votefromabroad.org website, the federal write-in absentee ballot is not. It's linked in. So if you, I think I had this on a previous slide, but if you do vote from abroad.org/FWAB, you'll get to a page that links you to the proper page on the government website where you can fill out the form online. So getting started, you have to, has all this privacy statement and stuff that you have to look at and accept before you can fill this out on their form. You choose your voting state, you select your jurisdiction. These things should all be part of what you've already done for your ballot request and be clear what your answer should be. Remember, it needs to match your ballot request. Ballot classification. The question, do you intend to return, is one that's actually pretty consequential in terms of what ballot you may receive. So be sure to take a look at how you answered this question on your ballot request form. Intend to return, I will remind you, does not require a firm plan to intend to return to the United States, but it may have implications, tax implications. So in saying that you intend to return or you have no intention to return is something that you need to think about. Most states will give you a more complete ballot, federal, not just the federal offices, but also state and local elections on your ballot if you intend to return. But like I said, that may have tax implications, and I can't give you tax advice. Okay. So just like the ballot request form allows you to simultaneously use it as voter registration, the FWAB also theoretically can be for voter registration. So we recommend, though, that you fill out the FPCA, the ballot request for voter registration, and not rely on the FWAB for your voter registration. But different states, different rules. You may find as you fill this out that that's not the case. But from in the way that I would recommend doing this, there's no case in which you would use your FWAB to register to vote. You would do your FPCA, your ballot request, which would serve as your voter registration first, and then you would do this process for your backup ballot. Be careful with your personal information here, political party, all those things that you put in at this point. Again, make sure it matches your ballot request. Your voting address, remember, is your US address. And your mailing address, this is going to match, again, what's on your ballot request, and it's your China address. And these guys aren't going to want to read your Chinese address in Chinese. So no Hanzi, no Chinese characters, type only in the regular alphabet, no pinyin with tones and stuff. Anything like that just gives them a chance to get confused and reject your application. So forwarding address, you can leave this blank. There's no circumstance where we're providing enough information of our China residents to actually be a mailing address. So additional information. This is where things might be very different depending on which state you are voting in. This can be left entirely blank for most folks, but then some states request certain information, and the form will give you this information. You don't have to magically know it. But for Wisconsin voters, for example, it's going to prompt you to ask provide additional identification if you intend to return to the United States. And they also require having a witness signature with their official ballot, which is the same case then with your backup ballot. Remember, you're treating these the same. And then, so that's all on the first page of this application. And then the next thing is the actual ballot. And so here's where it should generate something. If the ballot's already been finalized then, or certified, then all that information will be there as it will appear for everyone on their official ballots. If the ballot has not been finalized, you should look for a sample ballot. Ballotpedia has a very reliable service for a sample ballot. And I don't know how frequently you might run into this problem of not knowing what will be on the ballot. But if you have any question at all, you can go to ballotpedia.org and they will and give them the information of your jurisdiction and stuff, and they'll generate what your ballot should look like. They also have awesome stuff about in LinkedIn about the candidates or anything else that's going to be on your ballot. So voting's the easy part. Okay. Then you have a last chance to review everything, and then you download everything in a PDF package. And this will include a bunch of different documents, instructions, a cover sheet if you're able to submit it by email or fax, but that's probably not the case for us. Voter information, so that's that first page that looks like your ballot request form. That needs to be signed and dated, and then your ballot. And then there's another page called Instructions to Election Official that you also have to include when sending it back. You may find at this point that Section 6, where it asks for additional information, that you weren't able to add previously for whatever reason, you can still fill stuff in by hand here. Just make sure it's legible. Okay, now here's the complicated stuff about envelopes. So your ballot needs to go in a security envelope, which is just its special own envelope. So the ballot goes in one envelope and is sealed, and there's no identifying information on that ballot or in that envelope. So it doesn't say, oh, this is Elizabeth Jenkins's ballot. So for the purpose of trying to keep people's votes confidential, you put your ballot into the security envelope. Once it arrives at the local elections official, they'll separate that out from the rest of your information here. Then there's the voter information page that you have signed and dated, and the instructions to the election official. So the security envelope, the one you put your ballot in, you can print a template from the government website that looks real pretty and says official federal write-in absentee ballot security envelope, only voted ballot inside this envelope. And if you go to that website and want to print that out, you can do that, or you can simply use a regular envelope and write the stuff on it. Then you're going to take that envelope and your other two pieces of materials and put into another envelope. And that envelope also is something that you can download a template for, or you can simply write on an envelope, ballot enclosed for 11/20 election, official absentee balloting material. So here's something important. Don't sign the ballot. Sometimes people just want to sign everything. You don't want any information on that ballot that has any identifying information, individual identifying information on it. only your ballot goes in the security envelope. There should be nothing else in there. If there are other materials in there, your ballot may be rejected. And you want to make sure that that envelope is sealed. So it would be best if you're using a self-adhesive envelope, not something that needs tape or anything like that. So the optional envelope templates are at this link on the website, on the government website, and they have the 2 different templates, and they also have 2 different sizes for each one. So if this becomes important to you, you can see that they're different. You can print them right onto your envelopes, or you can whoops. All right, I forgot what I'm doing. Alt-H, isn't it? No, I'm just trying to get to my chat window because I saw someone sent something in. Alt-H didn't work that time. And yes, Kim wants to mention that they have some Vote From Abroad volunteers that are organizing events across the country. I know that she's been working herself in Shanghai, but other cities as well. And they will have envelopes that have already been printed that you can pick up from them. So so yeah, if you want to print these yourselves, you can print it directly onto an envelope, or if you're not that fancy, you can print it on paper and then glue it to an envelope. Oh, okay. Let me stop for a minute and answer Genevieve's question. So she says, I'm confused about the September 19 deadline. Can someone explain, do we request ballots by then or return ballots by then? So September 19 is the deadline for your local elections official to start mailing out ballots for everybody who's requested them. So so that's the earliest, it's potentially the earliest that you would get your ballot and have it in hand in order to return it, your official ballot. So your official ballot should be in your hands by September 19. However, between now and September 19, you can still fill out this backup ballot, giving yourself a little bit more time to have that ballot reach your local elections official. So if you do nothing and you do not do a backup ballot, but you have requested your ballot, you should receive your official ballot on September 19. If you do not receive your ballot on September 19, then you definitely need to do a write-in ballot. So if you find yourself, if you've requested your ballot a little bit later and there's no chance for you to have your ballot by then, you should go ahead and fill out the backup ballot right away. I'm a little steeped in this, so I may not be clear. Is there something, Genevieve, you can also go off mute if you want to ask a question.
That explains it.
Okay. So so your mailing options. Oh, Kim is oh, look in the chat box, everyone. Kim says she'll send you envelopes if you want them. So Kim, how can people reach you if they want to get envelopes? You want to put an email or something in there? For Los Angeles County, it seems like they sent out ballots late. They also take a long time. Do you have a nonpartisan email that you can put in there? They take a long time to get back to reply to emails. What do you suggest we do there? They sent out ballots late. What do you mean? She's got her WeChat there. You can add her. I'm not sure I understand your Los Angeles question.
Sorry, I'll just unmute myself.
Yeah.
So I believe that and people decided to get the ballot mailed to them, so it came to them late. So I guess let's just forget that. Let's just assume that they checked off, that they want the ballot by email. But right now, like, even if, right now we're supposed to email back to our local election officials, right, to double check that they've received our registration. But it seems like, especially for Los Angeles County, they are slow to respond.
Sure.
What can we do? Or what can someone else do, because I don't live in Los Angeles?
Oh yeah. So so with all of this, when you're sending in materials to your local elections official, it's a good idea to see that you get some confirmation from them. In some cases, those local elections officials will email you back automatically without you having to do anything. Just be like, hey, yeah, we got your absentee ballot request, no problem. And in some cases, there are on you can check your status online. In Michigan, all that information is available online. If I log in, I can see, yes, I'm registered to vote. Yes, I've requested an absentee ballot. They have not yet received my ballot, or they received my ballot, on such and such date. So the first thing I would do is make sure there's not some way to do that online, because there might be, but I don't know offhand about Los Angeles County. Then emailing, of course, is good, but you have a phone number too for those folks, so you can also call them. So if things don't seem to be working and you really need confirmation with any of this, contacting your local elections official is an important thing to do. So, if you get confused with the envelopes or whatever, remember your local elections official is the one that's going to be receiving that information and evaluating it. So if you have questions about how it should be prepared, call them or email them. Um, uh, it's very likely that local elections officials are pretty overwhelmed right now, because uh, not just overseas voters are doing absentee ballot requests. So you may find that the only way to really get through is by phone, and I would do that. So the mail options, though, for those of us that are trying to put in to sending in our backup ballot, using the USPS is an option if you happen to be back in the States or traveling and able to put it straight into USPS. That's certainly an option. If you use China Post, you can use them. They do a handoff to USPS, right? And in that handoff, things have been delayed. And then there are express delivery services with different rates. And finally, there's the diplomatic pouch, which is you can put your ballot into the diplomatic pouch, which acts as USPS. So you have to put US postage on it. And the way you submit that to the embassy or to your consulate is going to the American Citizen Services, ACS. A little bit more information about this stuff, comparing these different options. If I can make my thing go. Okay, there we are. We had a volunteer that did a tremendous amount of work trying to figure out the different mail options. She's a Virginia voter, and she really struggled, especially because she doesn't have a lot of Chinese, and trying to figure out what would be the best option. So she enlisted some help from some Chinese speakers, and had a small army, as far as I could tell, of of folks calling these different services and getting estimations on delivery time and cost. So it's very unfortunate, but seems to be the case that it's to mail stuff back, you're really going to find using a courier service uh, is probably recommended. So using DHL or SF Express or FedEx, but you can see how incredibly pricey those are. So if you need, that's another reason why mailing stuff now and having and using something like using one of these others. Oh, I'm sorry. Kim is saying U.S. postage. How to get it? Okay, so this is important. So if you are going to use the diplomatic pouch and you're going to put U.S. postage on it, you probably aren't sitting on a bunch of U.S. stamps there in China. And that's when it would be really advantageous to print one of the envelope templates from the website, because it will have U.S. postage paid envelopes. So you just print that out, and there's no need to put a stamp on it. So that's why, or adding Kim on WeChat and asking her to send you one of those envelopes. So this is, yeah, so this is where it's at. So that's why we're it's so concerning that we make sure our ballots get back every way that we can. We've got some delays, we've got possible expenses. If I think there's nothing after this, is there? Yeah, this is just, that's the end. So are there questions? Should I go over anything again, because it seems like it's a lot of information, especially if you haven't yet filled out your ballot request, to understand how this fits in. Yeah, the diplomatic pouch, even on a good day, Beijing has had, it's taken 6 weeks for materials to reach their destination in the US. So now there are different people within the embassy and consulates that have given us different estimates. Kim has actually been one of the people that's tried to get answers on that. And the answers have ranged from 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 7 weeks. But knowing that we get our ballots 6 weeks ahead makes it really scary that you would have to mail something back that would be due in less than 6 weeks when you've just received your ballot. So yeah, it's unfortunate. So Amy says, I can't seem to find sample ballots on Ballotpedia. I see a lot of great info, but not those. Okay, let's see. Let me go back to double check the link. So let's see. So it should be ballotpedia.org, ballotpedia.org/sample_ballot lookup. Am I sharing the screen? Can you see Ballotpedia? I don't know. No. Try this. So so it's slow to load, but this is what I see when I go to this link. I'll put this in the chat. Oops. So you have to give them some information in order for them to generate the sample ballot. So you need to put in your full street address here, and then it chugs through and generates the sample ballot. And this is actually pretty cool for folks everywhere. They suggest filling out your sample ballot before you go to a polling location in person, and so you're prepared and you have all your answers and you know what you're going to vote for. Okay, well, I'm not sure if I have anything more for you is that if there aren't any more questions, remember this vote, this backup ballot, your FWAB is available to ensure that your vote gets back to the states in time. So if when you get your official ballot, you need to send that in too. And if that official ballot doesn't end up getting there, that's fine. Then you've got your security blanket of your backup ballot. But if they both arrive, then your backup ballot's thrown out, and they will look at your official ballot. Just so you know, if there is any difference in how you end up filling out your ballot. So, again, if you need to reach me, my WeChat, maybe you have it already, is Eliza J, and you have Kim's as well. So both of us are volunteers and have been trying to assist voters with all aspects of the vote from abroad process. Uh-oh, 40, what? Oh, let me make sure that I have that bit.ly link correct. Hold on a second. Hold on. Don't go away. Let's see. Bit.ly. Vote. Wait, no. Was it Vote China? No. Yeah. That one is copy. Did I write it wrong? This is the link. This link works for me. I don't know if it's not working for you. Okay, well, thanks everybody for attending a 45-minute discussion of backup ballots. But this is unnecessarily complicated, perhaps, but super important. And so I really like to see that people wanted to attend this, and go spread the word, tell other people. And if you need help, please reach out. Okay? All right. Thank you all so much. All right, bye-bye.